Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Revolutionary Baddies podcast.
Yeah.
We are in season 2. This is episode 7.
We have officially traveled from 2025 into 2026.
Yeah, we have.
We're here.
We're here. Happy New Year again to everyone.
Yes.
Everyone listening. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Revolutionary Baddies. We have been getting great feedback on season 2.
I'm loving it.
I absolutely love it. Like, everybody that sends me the long ass voice notes, messages me on Instagram, texts me, calls me, like, it's been great feedback, both around like what we can improve on or even points that people disagree with. So I want to thank y'all for just being in this process with us actively.
This is meant to be. We keep telling y'all to get in the comments,
Get in the field.
get in the DMs. You know, this discourse is not, once again, we just talked about education in the last episode. So we're not here to just dump all the information we know and our opinions and thoughts, and then, you know, you all are just soaking it up. It's meant to be as education is intended to be. We learn by those that we attempt to teach as well.
Right.
You know, we're students.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm always learning. I love it.
We're learning something.
Let's get passionate about learning in 2026.
A little bit more.
Soak it up.
Let's turn up the dial.
On learning.
For sure.
Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be just revolutionary topics. Not bad for 2026, though. It's not a bad subject to be on.
Yeah.
Because I do think we need to prepare for this revolution.
Absolutely.
We're in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even more, like, with this podcast, I have been on and off going to Durham Tech, which is like the community college here, mostly taking classes to learn Spanish. But they have so many other classes there. Like, they have writing classes. They have a intro to audio engineer class that I was interested in, but it doesn't start until I think the summertime. So there's so many different avenues. Obviously, making the choice to listen to this podcast is one way. There's ways that are like right around you. If you have the time, you have the time.
YouTube is a whole university. You can watch things. Like I said, it's not all about reading, although we are still highly encouraging long form reading.
Always.
But yes, go to the local library. I went to a talk a couple of years ago. Like, I just looked at what was on the event calendar for the local library, and I was like, okay, let me go. Let me check it out.
Yeah.
They're free teachings. I took a couple at night school.
Night school bar.
Night school bar. Shout out to them. They have courses that I think can range between maybe $200 and $300, but they also offer free courses every now and then. So if you get on their email list, you can possibly catch some of those too.
Yeah. So thank y'all again for being here with us. Today we are going to talk about a very exciting topic, but before we get there, how you been, Brittany?
I've been good. I've been good. I'm getting into the swing of 2026. As we know, a lot's going on in the world.
Oh, so much.
In the past 11 days, I can't even keep up where we're at. But we're in 2026 and it's a lot going on. So me personally, I've been good. You know, everything's pretty much, I'm getting back into my normal work flow, things of that sort.
Yeah. I'm
excited about the year. I'm feeling energetic about it, hopeful about it. And then, I'm also like looking at the world and I'm like, do I need to pay this bill? Somebody please tell me if I need to pay this bill, or do I need to go buy some sardines with this money?
Right. Because as we going on strike.
Buy food with shelf life right now. That's all I can say. Just with, it doesn't have to be World War III to need sardines in the pantry.
Yeah.
Things is looking a little crazy. Supply chains.
Yeah. Whatever makes you feel like I'm on the right track of trying to be grounded.
Yeah. Prepared for whatever. I mean, even today, the water was off in my building where I live. And I didn't panic because I had bottles and bottles of water around. So little things like that. Like I said, it doesn't have to be that Trump shuts the water plants down, which God knows, who knows what's next week.
Yeah.
But just simple, kind of like what we talked about in Shooters and Looters, a little preparedness.
Yeah.
Times are crazy right now. What's new? So, I'm trying to, I think I'm like everybody else in America right now, like, everything is gonna be okay. It's getting harder to sing. Proud to be an American. Ain't nobody singing that now.
I don't hear it. I only hear it.
I'm the only one keeping it alive.
Just you. Just you.
Oh yeah. So I mean, other than that, like I say, I'm doing as good as we all can be during such a time as this.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. I'm doing good. Something that I started this year, and I just kind of thought of it as an idea, but I basically made myself a syllabus.
Yes.
And I started off with just like the quarter. Number one, because of all of the reading and watching and just gathering as much information as possible for the podcast, but also for my next job. I'm coming out of retirement, y'all. I'm coming out of retirement.
Okay, because on the Wrapped episode, you were talking about how you were looking for a job.
I was.
And here we are.
Here we are. I mean, I knew I would find one.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, yeah.
Come on. They're lucky. They're very lucky.
But I don't even know if it'll be public by the time this episode comes out, but I will have started. So the day of this episode releasing will be my second day at my new job. I am the training director of an organization called Momentum, and I've been a part of the Momentum community probably for the past 10 years.
Wow.
Went to my first training with them in 2015 and have stayed a part of their community of practice, and have been a trainer with them, been a facilitator for different trainings. And so it's an organization that's kind of been a part of my trajectory and my lifespan as an organizer. And so I was very excited for, number one, the amount of people from there that, hit me up about applying for this job even before it was posted publicly. And so I had time to kind of think about it, but it was a very quick application interview. Boom.
Bam. They knew.
They did.
So yes. Welcome.
So
Congrats.
Yeah,
that is a bright thing to start the year off with. I'm excited for you.
Yeah. So that's so I created this syllabus to also kind of complement the readings and understanding the framework. I haven't started the job yet, but I know I know enough to know that I'm going to have to read some shit. So I've included that in my syllabus, some movies, some podcasts, episodes, things like that.
It's a nice syllabus. She shared it with me.
Yeah, it's very cute.
And you know what? I need the same, because I was just having this conversation. I am trying to break my phone addiction. We all have it. It's hard not to scroll. And I'm like, what could I have done with that scrolling time?
Yeah.
I could have read, and I really be wanting to read the books that I have. And I do.
I was about to say, you do read.
But not as much as I could.
Okay.
To keep up with the volume of books that I buy. And I'm really interested in the stories.
But you also need to, you actually buy too many books.
I can't stop.
You buy books weekly.
Well, you know that the problem is?
What?
When I see something interesting, I'm like, I would like it. I was reading Audre Lorde's autobiography. And in the autobiography, they were talking about some of her books. It took everything in me not to be like, I need those books right now. They sold it to me. I'm easily sold on the books.
But they got them at the library. You just said go to the library.
That is where my American consumeristic tendencies come in. I want to own the books.
Yeah.
I need them.
But you don't need them. You don't need them. You don't. At least get them at the library. Then you can even see if you actually do want to own the book.
You're right. I do need to get on my library flow for 2026.
Yeah. Now, I am all about, I believe, especially Black women authors, we should own 2 copies of all of these books.
That's what I'm saying. You just triggered something.
You are still buying books on a weekly basis, though. And that's not why you buying them.
Well, I feel like I need these things to be a part of my library.
Interesting.
I need a library.
Yes, I feel that.
I gotta have it.
We're gonna have one.
Yeah, I need it.
Yeah,
because I'm an impulsive reader too. Okay. So sometimes I really scroll through my books and I'm like, come here. Mm-hmm. All right, let me start this. I'll have a book for years, but if I got to get up in my car to go somewhere, I'm already battling the phone addiction.
Right.
I need it there.
Yeah. So I
like to highlight.
Yeah. You can take the book with you.
I'm going to change my ways, possibly.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a new year. So this episode, is on Black queer history.
Yes.
Very, very exciting. We want to talk about, obviously, the major contributors to what we have right now.
Yes.
And ensure that you all know the people as much as we do. And also continue to support the work that is happening, has been happening, and that it's absolutely imperative that we do this.
Right. And really, Black queer history is our history, and we have to, as we've talked about in the previous episodes, we have to give voice and name to all those people who we don't speak about before. So we talked about how women are often left out of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And so often queer people are left out of the conversation, or we talk about them and we don't maybe acknowledge their queerness and how that unique perspective adds to it. So throughout season 2, we've created this cohesive narrative that speaks to building a sustainable and a truly liberatory revolutionary movement. And so far this season, you have seen that we've explored concepts that threaten the revolution and things that would strengthen us against the winds of fascism and oppression. So we started the season off talking about Christian nationalism. We've talked about asserting a movement that's grounded in radical feminism to lead us. But the common thread that is clear is that the revolution has to be inclusive, and it has to elevate the most marginalized amongst us. Okay, because none of us are free until all of us are free. So, in this episode, we'll obviously, as we talked about, highlight some of those contributions and really elevate the words and wisdom that we've gotten from our queer radical freedom fighters. Because, they offer a unique perspective from being, further marginalized, being the other within their own racial group, socioeconomic group. And I think that they help us see the vulnerability that we have in our movements about being, excluding people who bring value to the movement. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of my political homes, BYP 100, and it's a national organization founded by young Black people in 2013, and a pretty pivotal pillar in terms of the ideology and the politic of that organization is Black queer feminist lens. And so a lot of my context and understanding of history and the contributions from Black people, Black queer people, Black lesbians, Black gay men, all of that really comes kind of under this framework of Black queer feminist lens.
We need it.
Yeah.
And so obviously when we talked about feminism being the cure to patriarchy or the challenge to it, when we talk about the leaders from the past who have been a part of the LGBTQ plus community, patriarchy has been a threat to them as well, whether they were men or women or non-binary. Patriarchy is the system of oppression that elevates a certain type of manhood, typically white men.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is a system where people who bring value and wisdom are often left out because they cannot perform a gender role in a certain type of way. And then homophobia.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into that. Is one of the biggest threats in our community. And when I say our community, I don't just mean the Black community, but across the world.
Yeah.
Homophobia is still something that is not just an attitude or personal preference,
yeah,
but it is something that is put into legislation, and people are literally still being put to death and incarcerated merely for being homosexual.
Yeah, both by the state and interpersonally. Yeah.
And we can't have any type of system in place or any attitudes or general that's what people believe, those type of attitudes can't exist when we're talking about people's human and civil rights.
Yeah, for sure. And it exists everywhere, right? Obviously we know it's part of the water that we're swimming in, and it has existed also in the liberatory movement spaces. And I mean, I imagine in other places, but also in the United States. Queer people feeling completely excluded from the liberatory movement that was happening in the U.S., being led by Black people, and losing because of it, losing many strategies, losing many people because of it, which really doesn't make any sense, because so much of some hard fought and won policies and legislation really protecting people, especially as it related to the HIV and AIDS movement of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and how critical that has been to our healthcare system as a whole, not just that particular disease, and the changes that it made in terms of what we learned about sexual health, all of the, obviously a lot of it is propaganda that is not for the benefit of us further including queer folks into the conversation, but it did offer a sense of awareness, changes in our behaviors towards queer people, and also so much culture and art that emerged from those movements that speak to us even today.
Yeah. And y'all know how I be feeling about religion. So homophobia really is an attitude that is rooted in religious beliefs, religious dogma. And the societies that are more religious versus secular nations, societies and nations, that is where you see increased rates of homophobia and typically legislation to pair with it. And so, as we talked about in episode 1 of season 2 with Christian nationalism, we see how trans people are being used as a political tool on the right. Absolutely. To distract people and say, I heard, what's that bitch name? Megyn Kelly. Talking about some, so what? Trump maybe groped someone 20 years ago, he's fighting not to have a trans person in the bathroom with my son or something of that sort. And I'm like, that's the trade-off?
Crazy work.
That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
And once again, as trans activists continue to highlight, they are less than 1% of the American population.
Right.
Yet somehow there's this big but bad threat of trans people doing all of these things and being deviant. And it's all just a way in which people, the only reason that that type of argument can be made on the right is because they're playing on people's religious attitudes towards homosexuals.
Yeah. And make it about family values, quote unquote family values.
Protecting the children. You literally just said Trump touching a underage child, groping.
And in the same breath, it can completely villainize a stranger.
Trans person going to the bathroom.
A little stranger.
Going to a urinal.
That doesn't have any systemic power.
Right.
Yeah. It's wild. And I understand, like, also as a society, it's a evolutionary process. And, you know, where us as a society were as it relates to homophobia and transphobia in the 1930s, for instance, it doesn't show up in the same way now. There's been more with the younger generations, more openness, more understanding of different language, more access to information,
becoming less religious,
becoming less religious, being more out younger. And like completely comfortable with it. Like I have a goddaughter and she's 13. Love her. And her mom never said anything to me explicitly, but we were at her birthday dinner and we were playing a game with her and her friends. And one of the little girls, she said that she had been on a date before and she's 15 or something like that. So I was like, oh, well, how was the date? Was he really nice? Did he treat, was he funny? Whatever. And she was like, and corrected me. And I was like, oh,
I know that's right.
Okay. Well, was she nice? Yeah. And that, for me at that age, I don't think there would have been other girls that was as open and as like, assertive about, no, actually don't assume, which I appreciated hearing and being checked on. But just it shows how times are really changing because of the work of queer folks. Yeah.
To really assert themselves as full humans. Yeah. Not a defect. And so, one thing I want to go ahead and on the record and say, the whole concept of like them being a certain type of sinner, shut up. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Okay. This ideal that, first of all, stop talking about sins. Shut up about that in general. Okay. But that there's somebody that is in need of like being gifted acceptance. Right. And they're here. There are mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, fathers, children, all of them, educators. They're you.
Yeah, actually.
If you stop lying to yourself, you. My psyop voice. I'm talking to you. It's okay. No, but because one thing that I love that queer people bring to the forefront, whether it's in these movements, in our lives, in the reality of this world, is that this world is not a binary. And the binaries are what just get us caught up. Beyond sexuality, beyond gender, good, evil, Republican, Democrat. That's the biggest false binary I think that we're operating under right now. Like all of these binaries about this is success, this is failure. Queer people come in and they break it up. And I think that's what makes so many people uncomfortable. Like, how could you be, I don't know what you are. And it's like, they're them. They're themselves.
Yeah.
You try being yourself. You might find that you don't just fit in one lane or another, and that you can believe an assortment of things, and that life is a spectrum.
Yeah.
And sexuality is a spectrum, and you don't have to put yourself in one box or another.
Yeah.
And so I love that they have that unique vantage point, and they disrupt these black and white concepts that we constantly feel like we have to live with, that I firmly believe originated with crackers. And so there's plenty of literature and scholarship about how in a lot of cultures pre-colonialism, homophobia did not exist. Once again, this was before religions, both Christianity and Islam, were introduced to them. And so there were third genders that had names and terms. There was a different flow between what was considered masculine and feminine and the family structure. And so it wasn't until, whether you're going back all the way to the Crusaders, the Roman Catholic Church, and then ultimately European colonization, that you start to see these attitudes change. And it didn't just change about sexuality, literally how we dress.
Yeah.
What is feminine? You know, when Europeans came to America, the Americas, and saw indigenous people, and the men had long hair. It was, first of all, them bald ass damn British couldn't handle that bust down
if they wanted
you
to.
couldn't get the bust down if you wanted to. They saw them Navajo and was jealous. Damn black bundles.
Okay.
Flying in the air, flowing on their horse hair flowing.
Period.
Man, hair flowing. And so they were like, wait a minute. Damn, I'm balding and I'm 20.
And ugly.
Dried.
Dry. Skin dry.
Ain't moisturized. And you know, and so it was like, well, men should have short hair. And you can see that with a lot of the indigenous people who were put in boarding schools, like the pictures before and after they had to go and cut their hair. And, you know, women couldn't wear pants. And so there have been all these movements of like challenging like how we dress. So like I say, when we talk about the colonial project, it changed so much about how we live, and still feel like our attitudes are today towards attire, things of that sort. So nonetheless, religion has always been a threat. And so I found some statistics about there are still 80 countries worldwide that continue to consider homosexuality illegal. And of those 80 countries, 7 carry the death penalty for homosexual activity. And they are all Islamic countries, predominantly countries that follow Islam and Sharia law. And
what?
Sharia law. Did I not pronounce it right?
I don't know.
No, that's the thing. Sharia law.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, I didn't say it right? Which is like the Taliban upholds Sharia law. It's a form of Islam, Islamic viewpoint, shall I say. I'm probably not giving the correct definition. And so, once again, in these secular nations, you do not see these types of attitudes. And it allows for people to live, I think, in a state that's not hyper surveilled about, because how are you going to homosexual activity? What was I doing that you caught me doing? You know, but
probably a lot of things by their standards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
God knows, I would have been locked up.
At the very least. At the very least. And I think too, I think the biggest point that we're trying to make is that it's not just, again, I feel like we gonna say this for the long run. It's not just about how you feel.
Right.
And it's not just about what you think. And it's not just about what you prefer. How you feel, what you think, and what your preferences are informed by white supremacy and capitalism and patriarchy.
The man lives inside of you.
And it is worth it. It is literally worth it. And I would argue our absolute duty to interrogate how you feel, what you think, and what your preferences are, and see, is it actually that, or is it about what other people might think about what you think and what you feel?
And so it's, once again, the Bible verses that are there that are used to condemn homosexuality, they need to be interrogated, because if you talk to, once again, it's plenty of scholarship on it. Mm-hmm. They say that the translation of that did not actually mean homosexuality. But look into it. Read the Bible. I don't know, because there's more in there about loving people than discriminating on people. And if you in the Old Testament, babes, come on.
Yeah.
Christ wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Catch him in the New.
And I think too, like, you said read the Bible, but in my mind, I'm like, actually, there are liberatory literature that you could read that gives you an opportunity to be more compassionate to all of our people.
Yeah.
That isn't necessarily the Bible. It is maybe the biography or autobiography of Audre Lorde. It could be all of anything that James Baldwin has written. Like, those are
read
Bibles.
Other books. Yeah. No, I could honestly, if we were to ban a book, that's on my list. I think a 10-year ban.
Just a little break.
A break. Come on, guys. It's been a few thousand years. We can't put it down for 10 and see how our thoughts and attitudes are cultivated.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad campaign idea.
Now I'm thinking of it. I got a book to ban. And like I say, with all of this, when we leave people out, when we judge people, we miss the opportunity to meet some of the best amongst us.
Yeah.
So as we talked about in the Radical Feminist Revolution episode, that when you are a part of the unprivileged class, you have a better vantage point on what this world needs, because your very survival depends on liberation.
Yeah. Right.
And so the same way that Black men and other men of color somewhat have a blind spot because of the amount of privilege that they are granted, albeit it might not be much, but the privilege that they do gain from being a man, they just don't have the perspective of women. Yeah. Honestly, because they don't have that extra layer of oppression. So we talked about triple oppression before. And so if you're really talking about the queer community, specifically the Black queer community, they have quadruple oppression because they're working class, they're Black, queer, and then what's the fourth one I'm missing? Okay, triple oppression,
Black,
woman,
poor, gender.
Yeah, gender. Okay, gender. I had to throw it. So imagine being a queer woman, a Black queer woman. You have a whole nother layer of having to perform in a different way. If you're masculine presenting, the world handles you differently if you're femme. Yeah. So it gives people a better perspective, and I think that's why we get such rich words and wisdom from people who are on that outlier. And that LGBTQ plus is just one of the communities that I guess sits at the margins of, I mean, it may not even be actually at the margins, but because of the lack of honesty that people are able to have with themselves, it does sit at the margins, right? But there's also being formally incarcerated or even currently incarcerated is also at the margins. Experiencing homelessness or houselessness, that also sits at the margins of our community. And queer people also fall under those categories in many cases. And they are disproportionately affected by not being housed. Yeah. Being unemployed. Unemployment, formerly incarcerated. Sexually exploited. All of the things.
And so, I think that there's lots of efforts and campaigns that have been around for a long time to recognize. But again, there are people that are amongst the best of us in terms of activism and art that have contributed to where we are today. So some of the kind of notable folks that we want to highlight, obviously, there are many, many more. Many, many more. And I would encourage everyone to know these people and to know many more people. But some of the people that we're really highlighting in terms of queer activists, mostly Black queer activists, Lorraine Hansberry. We want to uplift Barbara Smith, Cece McDonald, Marielle Franco from Brazil, Angela Davis, James Baldwin, Ma Rainey, Marsha P. Johnson, and we could go on. And so some of the ones that we pulled out to really highlight, one for me is a recent ancestor of ours, Miss Major, and she passed away on October 13th, 2025, which is actually the day before D'Angelo passed away. Damn. And she's an award-winning, legendary Black trans activist, has been doing work since the 80s, since the 1980s around HIV and AIDS, care work for trans women, sex workers, folks that are incarcerated. So she really supported doing many different efforts, many different things that kind of wraps around the general life of Black queer folks, but especially things like she helped to drive San Francisco's first mobile needle exchange. She also did a lot of mentoring for Black trans women that were locked up, sent money orders, wrote letters, really supported them feeling cared for in the outside of the community. And so I just want to highlight Miss Major. There's a documentary, a really, really good documentary on her it's just called Major with exclamation points. So I just want to encourage folks to take a look at Miss Major and all the work that she's done over these years.
I'm going to have to check that out. Mm-hmm. We also have Miss Marsha P. Johnson, a strong advocate, a strong fighter, who is also an ancestor now. And so one of the organizations, so I knew about her work with Stonewall. But as I looked her up, I learned about STAR, which is the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries organization. And it was founded by really the veterans of Stonewall. You mentioned Sylvia Rivera. And they came in, advocating for the queer community and setting up not only just this organization to advocate, but getting housing. They actually acquired a building not long after they were in existence to house, once again, meet that direct need of the amount of people who are unhoused due to pretty much being discarded by their families and being discarded by society. I love the show Pose because I loved how it showed what community can look like. Yeah. And we talked about, our last episode was on community. Yeah. And I think many people in the queer community, especially if those who are not of the middle or upper class, literally depend on community for survival. And these type of radical organizations that don't look at people as, oh, you've done sex work, oh, you've been incarcerated, oh, you have a sexually transmitted disease, and look at those things as like you aren't deserving of human treatment. They're quite the opposite, in spite of all of those things you've done. Yeah. And one of the things too with Marsha P. Johnson and the work that she did, the Stonewall thing wasn't necessarily planned. They knew that the cops was coming. They knew that the cops was going to come coming all the time
because they kept coming and trying to break up this queer club that was in New York, and folks really responded with I think it was an all-out brawl with the police.
Like, you know what, not tonight.
This is it. They said pull up and we're gonna be ready. And that is what is considered actually the first Pride. So now we have Pride all over the country. It happens generally around the same time of year. It's a huge party. There's marches, there's rainbow flags everywhere, but really Pride started as a protest.
Yeah.
And obviously, because of the country that we live in, things get co-opted by capitalism, and now it's super commercialized, and cops are wearing rainbow flags and walking down the street and Pride. All of that is happening today. But I think it's critical for folks to know that the history of Pride really came from Black trans women that were radical. And that refused to continue to be harassed and beat up by the police.
And use that moment as a catalyst, I think. Like I said, these were the veterans. They didn't plan to be veterans of anything. They were just trying to socialize and have a good time and have a safe space, a third space for themselves.
Right.
And coming out of that, it was no looking back. And it's like that momentum. And so I think that can be inspirational now. I think people are being radicalized across the country by all of these crackdowns. People are in Minnesota right now. It's no looking back once you literally are a victim of state violence. Your actual body is beaten and broken and incarcerated. You can't really go back to a normal existence. So shout out to her. Another person who I recently learned about through the internet. So as much as I say, I need to cut my scrolling, it's about what pages you follow. It's also the same way, like when I bought my daughter a tablet, people are like, oh, you got to watch those tablets, which is absolutely true. But early on when I got it for her, she was watching ABCs and she was speaking very quickly. She was spelling. So it's about what you watch, what you consume on your phone. So it can't just be World Star videos. I had my face up many years ago.
Same.
I was all up on World Star.
I was a World Star media takeout.
Media takeout, eat it up. But I follow a lot of great pages and the algorithm does its thing sometimes. And so I learned about Kuwasi Balagoon. I hope I'm saying it right. No one's ever said it to me before. I've just read it. Let me say his name again. Kuwasi Balagoon. That was the name that he selected for himself. He was a part of the New African movement. He was a Vietnam War veteran, NYC tenant organizer, and he was openly bisexual. And he eventually joined the Black Panther Party for self-defense, and he did a lot of organizing around that, and he eventually moved to feeling like we need armed resistance. So he became a part of the Black Liberation Army. Took them war skills. You got to watch the veterans.
I'm watching them.
We need them.
We actually need more of y'all.
Yeah. On the right side.
On the right side.
And he actually assisted in Asada's.
Allegedly.
He gone. He would want to say, yeah, I did it. If I was a ghost, I'd come back and I'd do it again. Allegedly. And I believe he was tried in the Panther 21 as well.
Yeah.
So he was somebody who could have definitely passed from what I've looked and studied about him. He didn't have to be open about his sexuality, because he wasn't what you would look at and noticeably say, okay, he's a gay man, he's masculine, but he chose during that time to be open about who he was. And honestly, shout out to the ones who say, you couldn't beat my ass if you wanted to.
And what?
And what? I am and what?
Right.
So that was a person I did not learn about until recently. Wanted to lift him up as well.
Yeah. I also think, I think it's important, with the Black Power movement, so much of the images that we see is a very particular
strong black king.
Yes. It's a very particular kind of look. That's why we're always also uplifting the women that were in the Black Panther Party. But I think it's also absolutely imperative that we make sure that Black queer voices and people that sacrificed everything for the liberation of Black people are also highlighted and recognized. And he was a badass. Like, he did tenant organizing, was part of much of the quote unquote fundraising for members of the Black Panther Party. So that included the comrades that were locked up and in jail and in prison. Apparently, he also broke out of jail and prison multiple times.
Stop arresting him.
He broke out, y'all.
And then broke other people out. Not him being Harriet Tubman.
Actually.
He got out and he said, I'm going for it. I'm coming back.
It can be done. It can be done. But also help to fund the breakfast program and many of the health programs that both the Black Panther Party and the Young Lords Party had at that time. So shout out to him. There's actually a center in Jackson, Mississippi that's named after him. It's called the Kuwasi Balagoon Center for Economic Democracy and Development.
Shout out.
Yeah, period.
Audre Lorde. Wow. I've been reading her. I have the book with me today. One of her biographies, and it's called The Eternal Life of Audre Lorde. Survival is a Promise. That's what it's called. Survival is a Promise. And man, I was just reading it and I'm like, once she attended, or how the book starts is her being at her own funeral. So because if you all didn't know, she died from cancer. And she is where we get self-care from, that whole concept. And it's a lot in the book about her grappling with her fate and caring for herself and how people showed up for her. But she had pretty much, I don't think it was formally set up to be, this is your funeral. Yeah. But she was having a center created in her name, and people pretty much came and gave her flowers before she left America for cancer treatment. And it was so beautiful to read some of the words that people had to say about her, the impact that she had, and how her being her true and honest self as a Black woman, as a queer person, really freed other people and transformed their lives as well. And so it showed, as I read through the book, just this network she had of people who, whether it was local, some friends she had were just longtime pen pals. It's a story about how she met another queer poet in the Bay Area. And literally, I think she was hanging out with some like white colleagues in the Bay Area. And she was like, where are the Black women at? Where are the Black people at? And they literally dropped her off at this lady's house. And they, they shared poems that night and they spoke and everything. And the woman said, her first impression was like, who does this bitch think she is? Because she was very like, show me your poetry, giving her advice, giving her feedback. So she's like, how dare you, the first night I met you? But like, it just started this friendship from there. Yeah. And she just brought so much humanity to people. And I think that's something that the queer community can uniquely do, is just remind us about how important it is to be in touch with ourselves. And that creates a certain politic you have about moving through the world and who do you see needs protection. And so, man,
shout out to that book, Survival is a Promise.
We need that word right now.
Hello. And the book is written by a hometown author. Shout out to Alexis Pauline Gumbs.
Yeah, you met her. You know, see, you can't be surprised. You probably met Audre Lorde. Tell me that, Dee Dee. I never know. Have you had brunch with Alexis Gumbs? Have you? You probably have.
I probably have over the years at some point. Shout out to Alexis.
Yeah, when I came in the bookstore, she was, that book was right there, like local author highlight. I said, well, let me get it. Yeah.
Period. Another person that we want to highlight, Bayard Rustin.
A
And
master organizer.
Yeah, I really love Bayard Rustin and his whole story. He also went to Cheney University, which is my alma mater.
Oldest historically black college in the nation.
In the country, founded in 1837. So Bayard Rustin was a openly gay black civil rights activist, strategist. He worked really behind the scenes of many of the kind of largest demonstrations and campaigns that happened during the 1960s. So March on Washington, he was part of the work that happened in Albany, Georgia. He was part of the work during Freedom Summer. Just played a role in a lot of different ways. Really advocated for nonviolent direct action. He also, him and Ella Baker, also worked together to raise funds for the movement. So that was also part of kind of what he did, the role that he played. I don't think it was ever, from the stories that I've heard and everything, because Bayard Rustin was incredibly articulate. He was a great writer. Did a lot of the behind the scenes writing or ghost writing for folks like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and many other civil rights activists at that time. So he was, just played a big, huge role in the civil rights movement that we know today. Helped develop many of the organizing strategies, and also after his death received a Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yeah, and there's a movie, I believe it's on Netflix, where Coleman Domingo plays him. It's a really great movement. It's a great movie, and it shows his contribution. And for a while, like I say, he was kept behind the scenes because it was known about him being a homosexual. And so, but he eventually did come out. I think he was always kind of out, but once again, he lived it more openly, and he was a key advocate in bringing some of the rights that the queer community has today. So infinite contributions.
Shout out to Bayard. Here in Durham, we have our very own legend, Pauli Murray. She was they were a non-binary activist, lawyer, priest. Groundbreaking work early on. I think maybe in like the 1940s, 50s. They were going to their doctor and saying that they really wanted to have some sort of gender affirming medical care, and they were denied. They demanded a test when they were a teenager to see if they were actually intersex. That's how strongly Pauli Murray felt about the possibilities that they saw with their own gender, even so long ago, and really laid out some really major victories as it relates to segregation and gender discrimination, and tried to and played a role also in the women's movement at the time,
and ending segregation. And Pauli Murray, there is a house here in Durham dedicated to her honor and her work, and that was quickly defunded. A lot of the federal grants, the Trump administration
literally
snatched the funding,
all of it,
from right up under it. So it shows that this regime targets these type of centers because of the revolutionary potential for people to go in and see themselves and to see advocacy.
There's a way of thinking about our opposition as like, and based on the history of this country, right? We always say it that like black people getting free was never on the agenda for this country, right? For the project of the United States of America. And yet it did happen in a way, right? I mean, it's definitely not fully realized, right? Our dreams are not fully realized, but all of the organizing, revolutionary work, resistance to the colonial project of the United States of America is the thing that is helping this country move forward. Because again, it was never meant for us to get free. So many of the many things that we have that exist was not meant to happen. We were never supposed to learn how to read.
No.
Like what? We were never supposed to learn how to read. We were never supposed to own our own land. We were never supposed to be able to go to school, right? And the work of freedom fighters across spectrums of gender, across spectrums of sexuality, across spectrums of class is the thing that's why the fights are so hard. That's why we call them struggles, because it's not in this country's DNA for us to get the things that we are demanding. We have to appreciate, but also support those that are fighting for us that also come from marginalized backgrounds.
Yeah. And it can't be I think for so long the queer community has had to face the you all are next. Like first we need to, we have to pick one versus the other. First we have to secure black civil rights, and then we can
we'll
get to we'll get to you all's rights. And it can't be that type of fight. And that's what we're arguing for in this season is that it can't be let's advance one thing and leave the half behind. I love how in Thomas Sankar's speech about the liberation of African women, you know, he was talking specifically about women, but he talked about this ideal of like, how can we as men fight for freedom during the day and then go home and oppress at night? Half of the population. Yeah. And so while trans people may be less than 1% of the American population, queer people are far more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we can't say wait your turn or, you know, we don't have that'll get into the way, you know, of it.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes, you know, when I'm talking to people that I grew up with or my friends or whatever, and I think that people see homophobia looking a very particular way, that it looks like you just on a hunt for gay or trans people, and then you're just going to like beat them up, or
kind of like racism when people think it's got to be like the Klan style.
It's like the most, but it's actually again the way, in the same way that racism happens, you know, internally, but also secretly in these very passive ways and these indirect ways. It's the same thing with homophobia and transphobia, and too many of us are completely compliant to both passive and the most aggressive, dangerous forms of homophobia and transphobia. There's this sense of like, okay, amongst the best of us, right? Some people are like, well, you know, people can do what they want. If you want to fuck who you want, I don't care. I don't have nothing to do with that. But as long as you don't bring XYZ my way. Yeah. And then it's suddenly a threat, right? Or it's this sense of like, that's their business. I don't have nothing to do with that. And in some ways, I'm like, yeah, leave people the fuck alone. Yes, right. I agree. And we could even take it a step further. And I really do hope that the black community in particular that fights for and works for unity and says unity understands that it is imperative that we take responsibility for addressing the social systems, the culture of homophobia and transphobia that exists within us. That means you learning more on your own. This podcast is a way. In our description notes, we leave so many links.
Go to the
books,
links.
Articles, videos, movies, things for you on your own to get a better understanding of the world around us and the fight that we actually have in front of us. Also checking your homies when they say some wild shit. Yeah. Again, motherfuckers is too compliant with the passive homophobia and transphobia. Like, just check your homies. There's some shit that really, I mean, people shouldn't be saying, especially in this day and age. And again, it is connected to a lot of the way religion has taught us about LGBTQ people. But at the same time, when we talk about trans women, the homicide rate of trans people, not even just trans women, the homicide rate of trans people is high. And it's disproportionately Black trans women specifically that are being murdered across this country, usually at the hands of Black men and Black boys.
And that's why the radical feminist revolution is the only revolution, because feminism attacks that patriarchal mindset, because people look at trans women particularly as a threat to masculinity, and a lot of our Black men and boys are performing masculinity. So to be macho, to be a man, you can't be around no quote unquote gay shit and Pauls and all these type of things. It's this performance of being masculine, right? And then they go hide in the closet or text and call trans women. They love trans women, you know, you do. You're attracted to them. And so, but it feels like this threat. And so patriarchy has to be dismantled. So when we get rid of that, homophobia has to go with it. Yeah. And that's a lot
not
of
after.
Not after. It has,
not after,
it has to go right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people can be free.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm open to fun. You know, it's such a beautiful life when you're just open to fun.
Yeah.
And you don't have those limits. So I think once again, queer people they push the limits of what is possible, how we can be whole as individuals and as a collective. Yeah. And so we need to listen to our queer brothers and sisters and what they want out of this moment in this country. If gay marriage is repealed, that is a threat to all of us, because it's once again about authoritarianism, right? And the uniformity that white supremacy wants us to operate under. So these are not just well, I can still get married, so it's all good. No, babes. Right. Yeah. Right. All of our freedoms are tied up within each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I hope that this is just a soft, compassionate push for all of us to think about our relationship to our own internalized homophobia and transphobia. And that it, again, I can't stress it enough that it is imperative that we take responsibility for changing the culture of homophobia and transphobia within our community, within our friend circles, within our families, within how we raise our kids, within your churches, wherever you are, that it is imperative. To me, if you're not doing at least that, like at least addressing things when they come up, at least checking people. I have no problem checking my uncles, and they know at this point that I'm going to check them when they say some foul shit. Yeah. I'm going to check them. And they even give a disclaimer because they know. I think, like, Dee Dee, I'm sorry, I got to say this. And then they'll say the thing. And it doesn't necessarily make them not say it less. But I'm okay even if it's getting them more conscious and self-aware about what they're saying and how it contributes to this divisive white supremacist nature that we have.
Because it's the man.
It's no other way. Because this is going to be the thing that gets in our way of Black liberation. And if we're serious about it, then you must know the difference between fighting for Black liberation and being serious about it, or do you just want what white people got and calling it Black? Yeah.
It's no one takes a back seat in this movement that we're trying to encourage, that we all have to build. Right. No one's rights, no one's needs, no one's silence should be required.
Yes.
Absolutely. For this moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We have some great books for you all to check out. I talked about Black queer feminism in the beginning, which is a framework that I use. It's a lens that I use to help me think about the world and history and movements. And so I have Unapologetic, a Black queer and feminist mandate for radical movements by Charlene Carruthers. I have Homegirls, which is a Black feminist anthology, which many, Audre Lorde is in there. Barbara Smith, Beverly Smith, a lot of people are in there, but it's a Black feminist anthology that came out, I think, in the 80s. And I have How We Get Free, which is edited by Kienga Yamada Taylor, and it's a interview with members of the Kabahi River Collective.
Yes.
What you got?
Okay, so I brought with me When God Was a Woman. And it's the landmark exploration of the ancient worship of the great goddess and the eventual suppression of women's rights. So it pretty much talks about when the world went from more polytheistic, women-centered religions to the monotheistic, man-centered religions, and how that changed, once again, everything that we think about how we are as beings. So it doesn't specifically talk about, it's not a big focus on homosexuality, but it's just talking about the role that the monotheistic Abrahamic religions did in changing the cultures around the world, indigenous cultures. I also have one of my favorites, To Die for the People by Huey
It's
P.
going to be
Newton.
linked every time.
Every
y'all.
time. Diddy will stop linking it. Y'all just go read, just go get it. But it's a collection of essays. And in it, he has an essay there was a speech that was put into essay form that he gave on the women's liberation and gay liberation movements. And he talks about, obviously, that the Black Panther Party needed to combine with these movements for women's rights and gay rights, because they are an oppressed group and they have much to contribute. He actually says at one point, and maybe I'm injecting some of my prejudice by saying that even a homosexual can be revolution. Quite the contrary, maybe a homosexual could be the most revolutionary of us all. So great article. It's a very short read, it's an essay. And as I mentioned earlier in the episode, I have Survival is a Promise. I'm still making my way through this book, but Lord, I need a quick $200 to get more of Audre Lorde's books. I'm like more in love with her than I thought I could be. And so, and then of course I brought another goodie bag, Women's Liberation and the African Freedom Struggle by Thomas Sankara, which was a speech as well. And I just love how he talks about that all of us have to be free.
So many goodies. All of the books will be linked in our episode description notes at the bottom. Please check those out, and really excited to communicate with you all about this.
I know we're our queer baddies. We got to come up with a name for y'all. We got revolutionary baddies. We got the zaddies.
The zaddies.
I mean, y'all can fit in it.
Yeah.
What about the non-binary?
That's a good question for our listeners. What's a title that we?
Yeah, for our queer people.
Yeah. I think we could do it
because the support is there.
Period.
But we can get into it. And if anybody got some homophobic shit to say, I don't think so. I honestly, people follow us with sense.
Yeah.
I would hope. If you've come this far and you have that attitude, scram. No.
But also, I mean, if people really have questions or things that you want to interrogate, talk through, things that you have questions about, hit us up.
Didi always brings me back.
Yeah.
I'd be like, scram, beat it. Fuck you. And she's like, well, hey, let's not leave no one but behind. Because we just talked about being inclusive, ma'am. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
God knows.
It's okay. So yes, hit us up in our DMs. Feel free to follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, all the things. All of our episodes can be found Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, which you're listening to already. But also, we are on YouTube.
Get on the YouTube.
All of our episodes are on YouTube, Patreon. Please consider becoming an official Revolutionary Zaddy through our Patreon. Patreon.com/Revolutionary Baddies. Our Instagram, Revolutionary Baddies. All things Revolutionary Baddies. That's where you can find us. So we want to thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thank you all. Special shout out to my queer people, my family and friends particularly, all my daughters, aunties and uncles. I don't even know if she thinks straight people are normal anymore. She's like, what? Men marry women. But yeah, shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody. And we look forward to talking to y'all for the next one.
Yes. Thank y'all so much. Have a good one.